another kind of policy that would lead to perhaps assist in education, humanitarian needs, and etc. in a place like Afghanistan?
As well as in Pakistan, both of them will.
Yeah, but they're both the same. Yeah,
both of them will welcome a non-military aid to build up their infrastructure, schools, and employment places. The problem is a lot of these fanatics or extremists are unemployed. There is poverty in that region. That's why they get recruited by Taliban. They are being paid in like thousands of dollars to go and commit suicide bombing, so their family can be taken care of. If we provide employment there, and this is a good thing that what U.S. Aid is coming to Pakistan in the shape of Kerry Lugar bill. However, the Pakistanis have a concern about the strings attached to it. They like the idea of non-military aid, so we can set up schools, colleges, and all the other infrastructure there. But there are certain conditions which Pakistanis are in uproar because they want the Pakistani army to move the army from the eastern border with India towards the western border. Also, they would allow, they want us to allow drone attacks wherever U.S. wants. That is an encroachment on our sovereignty. And the other thing is that they want certain cities to be targeted, like Quetta and Muridke. These are the areas where allegedly there are some camps. But I think there is lack of trust between U.S. and Pakistan army, as well as the rulers. They should build trust, and they should empower Pakistanis and Pakistan army to take action against these camps.
But above all, I think you're simply saying what she has already said, is that we don't need to send any more troops there because it would only create a worse situation in reality. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Singh?
Right, and with this aid, we're now talking about giving $1.5 billion in aid to Pakistan, non-military aid, for 5 years, which would come to $7.5 billion. That could do a tremendous amount of good, or it could also backfire again if we do it in a heavy-handed way. Some of the things we're talking about is increasing the embassy in Islamabad to 1,000 Americans in order to oversee this aid. I think that will backfire against us. We don't want Pakistanis to feel they're in an occupied country like Afghans feel now. Another thing is that they're talking about they're buying the largest hotel in Peshawar to be the consulate there.
For the American.
Yes, we don't need to be that conspicuous. The worst thing is they're talking about hiring more foreign contractors. The notorious Blackwater Corporation,
the same Iraq kind of,
which now calls itself XE, it has already been operating in Pakistan, and also the DynCorp corporations. So people in Islamabad are saying they're being accosted by American-looking thugs who are contractors. This is even worse, but it is a way, as Dr. ARain talked about, infringing on Pakistani sovereignty. Having contractors and having drones is, you're not fooling the Pakistanis. These are ways of getting around Pakistan's sovereignty, and it creates even more anger than forthright military incursions.
Well, Dr. ARain, do you think that perhaps this point of view that we ought not to increase our military aid and military presence in these two countries, do you think that that point of view is getting through to decision makers in Washington, D.C.? I mean, the things that the two of you are saying seems to make sense to me. But are the people who make decisions in Washington, D.C., do you think that this point of view is there as well?
I hope it goes through to the policymakers, but at this time, the way they are conducting it doesn't seem like that the point is getting across. But certainly that would be the right approach, because sending more troops will anger more the Afghan as well as Pakistanis, and that would give more recruits to the resistance movement. I think the best approach at this time, in my opinion, would be to withdraw. NATO withdrawal will certainly help, provided we involve the regional players like China, Iran, Pakistan, India, and Russia, which have vested interests in Afghanistan. Get them on a table, negotiations, make sure we guarantee the rights of Afghan for next 10 years, 15 years, let them decide their own fate. Let them have institutions built, let them have employment, let them have democracy in their country, and let the ethnic and religious diversity prosper in Afghanistan, I think that would be the right thing.
Do you think that we've overlooked the ethnic and religious diversity in these two countries when we start making our policy?
I think we have, and I think we can't expect either Pakistan. I wrote my book, The History of the Peoples of Pakistan, because there are all these different peoples, and there are different Islamic traditions. There's not just one Islamic tradition, there are many. And similarly in Afghanistan, there's different traditions, different peoples, and we can't expect them to be the exact kind of nation state as we have in the West. I mean, even in the West, there's a lot of tugs and pulls and tensions. But I think that President Obama came in promising diplomacy over militarism. And I hope that he will continue, that he was given the Peace Prize for that attitude of working towards through diplomacy rather than through arms. And I hope that he learns that lesson. They always say when they're pursuing military ends that of course we'll also have aid, we'll also have diplomacy, we'll also have development. But those things always get left by the roadside, and they become just lip service.
They get stored by the
so we
war
need to
itself.
really turn this inside out and put diplomacy in the lead, development in the lead, because it's prosperity and stability that will end terrorism. It's not bombs.
And a lot of folks are simply unemployed. Young people just don't have any jobs. They don't. Education is needed. All of the money that we're putting on drones and tanks and et cetera, that could be very, very helpful in terms of creating a different kind of situation that would allow us, give us some kind of justification for being able to withdraw. Is that what you're saying?
Education.
When people are educated, when they have employment, they won't have enough time to go with these extremists. Then this religious extremism will die out. That would be the right way to do.
Finally, we've got about a minute here before the end.
Well, I just think it's been 8 years now, and what we've been doing has gotten us deeper into a quagmire. So we need to learn the lessons of Afghanistan and the lessons of Vietnam. And when I was young, I was worried about my brother in the Vietnam War. Now I'm worried about my nephew in Afghanistan. We have to learn the lessons of history.
Very good. And let me thank the two of you, Mrs. Hussain and Dr. ARain, for coming by and giving us that excellent information today, because I think that we're all so confused in reference to what is going on, the killing and et cetera, but I think that that is a ray of hope in reference to what we're trying to do. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you. And